Within Snapshot 25W20A, the newest music disc, Tears, became the newest addition to the Minecraft disc lineup. Alongside this, I saw a lot more comments asking and talking about how it affects the lore. So I thought we could use this short video to look into that, what parts of Minecraft are gameplay instead of lore, along with the change of the dried Ghast recipe since the last video on Ghast lore. If you enjoy the video, consider subscribing. The Tears music disc drops as a result of taking a Ghast down with its own fireball, reenacting the Return to Sender advancement. Simply put, this is likely not canon at all. In the video that we talked about Ghasts, we mentioned that they seem to be closer to being organic if anything, which wouldn't make any sense for them to drop a music disc of all things. Using their tears on existing biological matter like bones would point to this further, which is still valid since they changed the crafting recipe to include soul sand instead of bones, which only adds to that idea. The bones still seem to be necessary, if not than organic material in general, being why they're all found within Soul Sand Valley bone structures. Likely also the place that piglins find them too, as they can barter them. Now we know an extra step of this process. They require souls, making that concept of a living thing sprouting baby Ghasts feeling a little more likely, since it requires souls in order to begin their life cycle, a natural form of necromancy almost. The same concept of the disc drop not being tied to lore can also be looked at with the creeper and skeleton method, where a skeleton has to take down a creeper with its arrow, creating a unique dynamic. But, simply put, unless someone's been feeding creepers and ghasts music discs, it's simply not feasible within the lore. They both drop these discs in unnatural and specific circumstances, and both creatures occur in the world naturally. It's really just an Easter egg feature. Another thing is when beds and respawn anchors explode, which in itself should be obvious, as the death message literally says the cause is because of intentional game design. No doubt a rough yet iconic idea that's helped shape Minecraft's identity in its early years. Now being used for practical things like PvP, netherite mining, or even speedrunning in the Ender Dragon's case. In reality, there's little reason grounded in anything of substance to suggest that humans can't sleep in the Nether and End, using something as simple as a bed. After all, the villagers can do it, but the difficulty spike of these places do require more fitting and limited ways of respawn. Like in the case of the respawn anchor, which also requires being charged with glowstone blocks to function. On the topic of respawning, it's definitely not possible in the way we see in Minecraft, with dungeons showing totems of undying activating upon falling into a pit or otherwise, or being the visual for the given number of lives. Legends, on the other hand, takes place during a war, so if during that time the hero fell during battle, another would easily be able to take their place. Then again, necromancy seems to be a common practice among these humans. Branching from those undead humans, as we explain in the Fallen Heroes theory, would have been humans that didn't agree with their view of how the overworld would be ruled over. We have the vanilla characters, mostly looking at Steve and Alex. Simply put, and further confirmed as the other default skins were added, these characters sadly do not exist in canon, as the article introducing them mentions how they want people to see themselves in Minecraft. More choices for representation for the player. While Steve and Alex are available in dungeons as skins, their existence in the canon is non-existent, with one of the pages of the Minecraft game design book holding the ominous title of "There is no Steve or Alex." They're just mascots at the end of the day, acting as the most recognizable characters for the franchise as a whole. The only humans, or heroes, we can tell are canon are the few in the novel and the cutscenes of Dungeons, which makes sense seeing that Dungeons has a linear story, unlike vanilla Minecraft, which is more so a much more broad setting, rather than a clear-cut actual story, with the only goal, even if just aspirational, being the way to fighting and defeating the dragon, which seems to have happened at some point in the Minecraft timeline, depicted by a statue of Alex, meant to represent us, standing atop the Ender Dragon. We don't think this could actually be Alex as a character that exists in-universe. In a weird way, a lot of what happens in every Minecraft world isn't canon to the main Minecraft mythology Mojang seems to have in mind. But it's also the other way around if you see it as such. In fact, the game design book makes clear mention of this idea, with one of the pages being titled "Minecraft is Multiverse," which explains this in more depth. That is one of the major things to really keep in mind, and something we have to think about frequently when interconnecting Minecraft's lore with its canon spin-offs, dungeons, and bits of legends. Games that exist to expand the lore of Minecraft. Ancient hunt locations are weird in canon, with how little sense they make environmental-wise. With a major example being when a player goes through a nether portal whilst in the nether, they can appear elsewhere in the nether, which we know doesn't work like that, and can confirm that it doesn't make sense with how the article introducing the ancient hunts mentions their procedurally generated layouts as stitched together adventures. Then there's certain mobs being in places that they don't belong, like the enderlings being outside of the end, drowned being in the nether, or piglin and hoglins appearing outside of the nether with no spores to breathe, like how the piglin merchant does. While the way the environments connected to each other might not make complete sense, nor do the placements of the various mobs,
I hate raising my woke son!
Each location individually seems to be fairly straightforward. The ambushes that take place here even seem to indicate what mobs would actually be found here, if they worked as normal missions. If anything is canon here, it would certainly be that. The ancients themselves are interesting. They're called Ancient for a reason. Mark Watson, one of the producers for Dungeons, did clarify that the mobs are ancient, and that you're not being teleported into the past. Which is interesting to note. Though they may not exactly be mobs that have lived since untold eras, they may no longer truly exist. Think about it like you're calling upon a spirit from the past, an echo of what once was, with them appearing in locations that have obvious ties to their character. This may be why ancient hunts have the name they do. You are literally hunting the ancients after they respond to your offerings, being lured to the areas they have connections to. The use of an orange enchantment glow is interesting, however. I had at one point thought that maybe it had something to do with the orb, with orange being a colour it can show, but as shown when Archie uses it to enchant fellow villagers, the enchantment glint is purple, matching the void magic coloration. This is one of the least known and explored concepts so far within Minecraft's lore. So far, we don't have much to go off of. Maybe Spicewood will explain everything, along with introducing 17 more Hearts of Ender and ruining the first game's impact with its villain. Perhaps ancient hunts could be something to go over in a future video then. But for now, that's mostly what can be said at the moment. The bedrock floor, and roof in the case of the nether, have also been an interesting one. The empty void below is just a gameplay limitation. There could be something there, but the intention is that the player is not supposed to bypass the unbreakable barrier. Similarly, the world border and build limit would also serve this purpose. It's just what the developers intend for and can accommodate for resistance-wise. The void underneath the bedrock is definitely not a thing, as you could see lava pouring from mountains and gathering lower down. Geologically, it would imply, like real life, there would just be more rock and lava found further below bedrock. The canon doesn't take place in a video game / server type of world like story mode does, so it doesn't make any sense for it to have some of these things. And for the final thing, there seems to be a lot of confusion over why certain things in dungeons aren't in the main game. For example, the mossy skeleton, first seen in Minecraft Dungeons Jungle Awakens DLC, works identically to the bogged from the 1.21 Tricky Trials update, but is its own mob. Certain ideas change over time, and that can be seen in this instance. Even so, the mossy skeleton still remains canon. Them and the bogged are two different mobs nonetheless. Mossy skeletons appearing in the jungles, while the bogged only appear in the swamp biomes. From an aesthetic and gameplay design, however, the bogged fits its role for Minecraft better. Things like necromancers, wraiths, enderlings, and such could come to the game later on. Maybe changed a little, maybe not. But they are integral to the story and the current lore we have. There's not really much to prove that they've appeared since the vanilla game, as there's a lot that points to dungeons coming after the events of Minecraft. Simply put, with how developers at Mojang, as stated in videos made by them, that
the idea for Illagers actually came about when we were making Minecraft Dungeons in 2016.
Showing that their inclusion into the main game shows that they could add a few more of these important things at some point if it works gameplay-wise. Mobs are added into the original game if they fulfill a role that no other mob can fill. Something that's also stated by Mark Watson, who states, "Also, I promise this isn't the last time you'll see the wildfire show up." somewhere. Yes, this is intentionally vague. And I don't mean vanilla Minecraft. Let's cut that guess off early. Mobs are added to things when we find a specific need for that mob. During Minecraft Live 2022, Jens also says something that supports this when asked if mobs from Legends could make their way into vanilla Minecraft.
They may or may not move to other games, but it has to fit, like it has to have an opportunity, essentially.
Yeah.
Just because they're not in the main game doesn't mean they don't exist in universe either. It also doesn't mean that they don't exist during the time of vanilla Minecraft either if they aren't present in the game. During a Q&A in the Minecraft Dungeons Discord, Mark Watson explains, Minecraft isn't the starting line for the Minecraft franchise. Things can come in from different directions. So we could make a, I don't know, Twilight Forest in Dungeons. And it means that it exists in the Minecraft universe, even if Minecraft Java/Bedrock isn't generating that. I guess we just gotta wait for a future update to add Dungeons and Legends mobs. If you haven't already, check out the podcast. We have a Minecraft quota to fulfill every episode, but it's not always Minecraft, so check that out. I hope you enjoyed this smaller video discussing a bit about the lore. We do have more plans for the future with story, but this was a fun, smaller video to make. So if you have any other topics like this we can cover, let us know. Thank you for watching, and have a good day or night.